Welcome into another episode of the Lazy Bros podcast. We're your hosts, Logan and Luke. Today, August 9th, 2025, recording on a Saturday. Typically, we do these on Fridays, but this time around, we're doing it on Saturday, which, to be honest, I don't really mind right now. Saturday recordings, I feel like, not more chill, but, we're both off on the weekend, so we have all the time in the world to record. And so a lot of news, NFL world, preseason's finally here. It finally feels like football is officially back. Training camp, it's like, okay, we're almost there. But once you start seeing preseason games, actual teams versus teams, not just, in drill 7v7, 11v11, where you can't touch the quarterback, it finally feels like football is officially back, which is always exciting.
No, yeah, football's back. I mean, we got already young players we'll probably talk about later with like Shedeur and stuff. That's kind of the one that's being talked about. Richardson got hurt, but it's back. It's back. I finally feel like it's back. The Hall of Fame game didn't really do it for me, but we are now.
To be honest, I didn't watch a second of the Hall of Fame game because typically it's just third stringers.
Yeah, I went to go work out. I was like, I might as well just do that instead. But we're back. We're almost back.
Yes. Yep. First game is September 4th, so we're only about.
Less than a month.
Yeah, less than a month. And so really exciting. We, like Luke said, we do have some news to talk about young quarterbacks. We are going to start with the Micah Parsons trade request, which we know is not old news, but is about a week old. But we're going to start. We weren't able to talk about it when it first broke last week. The fact that it has gotten to this point, it's quite baffling from a Dallas Cowboys perspective. And I truly think when Micah Parsons requests this trade and saying he doesn't want to play for the Dallas Cowboys, it's not that he doesn't want to be a Cowboy. It's just he doesn't want to play for Jerry Jones anymore, and I really don't blame him if that's truly how he feels and if this really isn't a negotiation tactic. It's truly that he just wants out because of the treatment that he's been getting from the owner who, at this point, is just holding the team back from winning anything significant.
I mean, yeah, I think it's just, I think it's probably personal, but at the same time, I still feel at the end of the day, he's just going to get a big enough offer and he's going to sign. I think the chance of him getting traded is 10%. I don't think he's getting traded. He's just going to probably get a couple extra mil per year. I just don't see a trade request. But, I mean, this is what Jerry does. He wants his attention no matter how it comes. Good news, bad news. And, yeah, I mean, they're never going to win a Super Bowl anyways with this roster and the talent that they have. Just probably third best team in the division. And then even look at the Giants. You don't have a group that's as good as their pass rushers. So, I mean, it's just typical Jerry Jones stuff, which is pretty lame. But, again, I think it'll be September 1st, Micah Parsons 4 years, around $200 million or something like that. It's just I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest.
See, I think both sides are kind of dug in. Jerry Jones hasn't even, contacted Parsons' agent, I think, since, I want to say March or April, whatever the report was. He hasn't contacted them. He's made all these, passive-aggressive comments at training camp, comparing Parsons, the Cheers for Parsons contract to CeeDee Lamb's last year, telling the media, when they were asking Schottenheimer a question during media availability, Jerry Jones interrupted the interview just to say that Parsons, has dealt with injuries and that pain of players. And it wasn't even correct factual information. He said Parsons had missed 6 games last year. He only missed 4.
Yeah.
So it's this one, we were talking about it, how, and Terry McLaurin just recently requested a trade. I think that's more negotiation tactics. Myles Garrett requested a trade last offseason, ended up being paid. This one feels different because specifically Myles Garrett, Myles Garrett didn't really seem personal. It felt but this feels like a personal, he's just kind of done. And I wouldn't be surprised if, he does get paid. But I think at this point, my prediction would be that Parsons kind of plays this year out without getting paid. That's kind of where I'm leaning at this moment.
No,
because Jerry Jones hasn't even. There's been no Dak got signed the day of opening day, but
he takes
they were negotiating throughout the offseason. But they were at least negotiating. There's been no negotiations.
When did Jerry Jones not sign someone besides DeMarco Murray, a running back? He signs all his stars. They always go through the same process. It goes back to Tony Romo. It goes back to Emmitt Smith. who sat out 2 games. It's like he's going to pay him. He likes the attention, and it's going to just keep on going. It's going to be right before the season starts. He's going to pay him. I just don't see like this, we're going to let this be. And he paid Dez. He pays everyone. He pays his players. I don't see them letting go of Micah Parsons here. I don't see – and it could be personal. Well, $200 million changes a lot about being personal, I feel like. So, these trade requests, if they get the money, they're staying. And he's going to eventually get the money, in my opinion.
We'll have to see. I just feel like – and you could be very well right that they end up getting a deal, which based on history, that's what happens. It just feels all those other situations just feel different because there's actually at least negotiations during the time frame leading up to the season. So I get you could very well be right. I just have a weird feeling that it's just a completely different situation just based on personal attacks and the fact that there's been no negotiations. But it's not going to be like last year they signed this deal will have to be because they play the opening night. Thursday night. So this will probably be on a Tuesday, Wednesday. Gets done instead of on Sunday, 2 hours before kickoff. But obviously the Cowboys cannot afford to lose Micah Parsons. It's Cowboys are always bad vibes, and even if they pay Micah Parsons, you're paying they could have got his deal done last offseason for maybe 37 million. I'm not sure if it would have been 40 million if they did this last offseason. So they've already cost themselves at least, I think, $5-6 million per year on a contract.
Pay these players early. I don't get why teams don't.
It's just bad business. They should have never paid Dak. They should have had Dak play on a contract year, prove it. Even when Dak was healthy last year, I believe they were 3-5 in those starts. It wasn't like they were winning football games when he was there anyway. So Dallas is going to be a top-heavy team, and like you said, Eagles obviously a really good team. Washington has their franchise quarterback in Jaden Daniels, and you have to like how the Giants have built at least their defensive line. If you have an elite unit on your team, pass rusher is not a bad unit to have as an elite group. So Cowboys, I think they're going to be in a mediocre stage, I think, for the next 5-10 years. I don't see them. Playoffs aren't even a guarantee anymore at this point. And
it hasn't even been a thing really. So I don't see much from him this year, and then we'll just, Jerry Jones will drag this out and eventually pay him. Like, oh yeah, we wasted all that time. It'll just be like a random
money. Yeah.
It's
just bad business. Let's move on to the second bit of news that we'll talk about. Unfortunate news. I think potential season-altering moves to the Los Angeles Chargers. Left tackle Rashawn Slater suffering a torn patellar tendon in practice on, was that Wednesday? I think it was Wednesday. Yeah, or Thursday. I want to say it's Thursday because whatever day we played.
It was Thursday. It was Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday. Yeah, because the Colts play that day as well. I think it's season-altering, potentially. Fortunately for Chargers, they have Joe Alt, who will shift over to left tackle. Jim Harbaugh announced that Joe Alt will play left tackle this season. I know that you're higher on Denver than Chargers before this news, obviously, and I think now, I'm definitely lower on the Chargers now heading into this season.
No, you lose a top tackle. I still think because they're moving Alt to left, and they have Trey Pipkins. I think his name's playing right tackle. I think he's not the worst, but this kind of makes it to think about the AFC West. I was like, okay, so Chiefs are favored, but I think the Broncos are really good, and Chargers could do something if Herbert explodes and stuff. I feel like now the Chargers are at a 1% for the West. It's maybe they're maybe not 1%, maybe 3%.
So do you give Raiders a better chance of winning the West now?
No, Raiders aren't winning the West. I think it's 0.
Okay, so if you give 3% to Chargers, you have 97% to divide between.
I don't know. I felt like it was probably
3%. I think 3% is pretty low.
Maybe that's low, but I think they were at a 15% before this. I think Chiefs were Chiefs are in my head 55%. That's 15% Chargers, 30% Broncos. But maybe 5%. Move it down to 5% personally, and you give you split that I mean, so I think that if Herbert wins the division, he's probably MVP. I feel like he's probably MVP unless Allen goes like 15-2, or I mean, yeah, you take up Mahomes or Burrow wins division. But so yeah, it's really gonna put a lot more on Justin Herbert, and it would be ironic if when he loses his left tackle, he all of a sudden learns how to play in big games. So that would be some weird what's the phrase? I can't think of it. Not grass is greener, but that could be some weird positive outcome from this. So we'll see. I just don't love them anyways. Like I like them. You have Harbaugh. We'll see if Hampton's really good. They signed Keenan Allen. I did like that. That was kind of thrown in there, but I mean, this is still in the end a huge blow.
Yeah, and Keenan Allen made his practice debut back with the Chargers the day that Slater gets hurt. They just signed Slater to a 4-year, $113 million extension with $92 million guaranteed, literally about a month ago. Maybe not even a month ago, and now he's out for the year.
It was
Herbert
like 2
was
weeks
sacked.
ago.
Yeah. Herbert was sacked 40 times last year, and so you're already like the Chargers, and this is why I think yes, the playoff game was bad. But I do think Herbert deserves a lot of credit for last year because I don't think you viewed the Chargers as an 11-win team last year. I think if I'm remembering right when we had
Herbert was really good in the regular season, but then
and I think the roster has gotten, I don't want to say worse, but I mean when you look at this roster as a whole, it's not like the reason you really like Denver. You're higher. You like Bo Nix, but that roster is loaded. Chargers.
Yeah.
You have an older Khalil Mack as your number one pass rusher. You lost Joey Bosa, who I think, it's an addition by subtraction, in my opinion, just based on, he's always injured, doesn't really produce. You save the cap space. But this team really overachieved last year with, I think, a lot of good coaching. Herbert, I thought, was really good, took care of the ball.
They ran the ball really well.
They ran the ball really well. And Slater, I saw a stat. There's like 4 to 5 metrics of when Slater didn't. There's 159 snaps he didn't play last year, and like yards per play, they were like 27th in the league. Success rate was like 29th in the league when Slater wasn't playing.
Mm-hmm.
Yards per EPA and all that, bottom half of the league without him in the lineup. So, and this is a team that wants to run the football, and I like Lamakonki a lot, but I don't think the receivers are anything special. I mean, Quinn Johnson, I think, is a borderline bust. We don't really know what Trey Harris is. He's had up and down training camp. They don't. This Rashawn Slater injury is really bad news for Chargers, in my opinion, because I think he's the second best player on the roster. If we were just making a list of ranking Chargers players, I would say Herbert's 1.
Yeah, I guess I would put him ahead of
2.
Derwin. I've heard.
I would. Yeah,
not
I think I would. Yeah, importance of position and all that. I would probably put Slater second overall.
I still think their line is not going to be bad this year. Hope Zion Johnson gets a little better. They signed that Carolina center, and then they
signed Mekhi Becton.
They signed Mekhi Becton. So it's like, there could be some things there where it's still not bad. I feel like, if they win the division, it's because Herbert really, Herbert can win the division, and then if he loses his first playoff game and plays terrible, I'm not changing my opinion. Because he was really good last year, but again, it was the playoff where you had the Texans. They were playing terrible. They've been bad for a while, and that was ugly. But
the Texans also were limping into the playoffs. They were basically begging to be just taken out.
Yeah, it's brutal. But if you look at the defense side of the roster, so you have Dante Jackson, who you got Deshaun Hand, who's not bad. Mack, still good, but nothing special. Derwin. It's not great. It's not great.
Just last year, I think the Chargers overachieved across the entire defensively. I think they were ranked number 1 at points allowed per game. I do think that's really good coaching defensively. But secondly, I think it was because of their pace of play offensively. They were running the ball so much, not really airing it out. I think that kind of helped, keep the defense off the field. So I think that stat is somewhat overstated because I don't think the defense is as good as those rankings are. And I don't think they didn't have the personnel last year, in my opinion, and I don't think they have the personnel this season. I think it was a lot of coaching, and I agree. Denver, obviously, I'm higher on Herbert than Bo Nix, which is why I initially, and I don't want to spoil anything for our division predictions, which we'll probably do in a week or two. I think it would be good timing to do that. But Herbert was the reason I was giving the Chargers the edge over the Broncos to get second place in the division. With his injury, I definitely have to reevaluate things. Right now, I probably have Denver second. I think his injury is a massive blow to Chargers, and I just don't think they have the personnel, especially on the defense side of the ball, to compete with the other teams in the division, or at least the top two at Chiefs and Broncos.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. I mean, I didn't really think they did much anyways. Honestly, I think if they want to compete, they're going to have to switch up their style to maybe throw a little more. Maybe you're like, okay, because I think Ladd is like top 20 receiver. I think he's so good. It's like, that'd be interesting where I'd rank Ladd, but I really like Ladd. And it's like, I still think Keenan Allen's solid. Quentin Johnson has moments where if
I think there's a chance that and I don't mean to interrupt you, but like Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, Trey Harris may be your three wide receiver sets. I think Quentin Johnson could get phased out of his offense.
No, yeah, I was going to go into Trey Harris, and like Trey Harris could be good. We'll see what happens with Trey Harris is. But if you have something there, I mean, you may need because Hampton's a rookie. That's a lot to depend on a rookie.
And well, they weren't expecting Najee to be,
Oh, yeah, you got the whole Najee thing. I mean, that's its own issue. So, now I don't know if they're making the playoffs. I guess that's I would guess no. They don't make the playoffs now.
I think it's a fair assessment because I do think, like you also know, I really like Justin Herbert as a quarterback, but this roster, I mean, you compare it to other rosters in the AFC, the reason why people really believe in the Chargers last year and think that they can, advance, and do better this year is because of coaching, Herbert, and some other pieces on the roster. But this is not, a loaded roster like other teams in the AFC. So, and I mean, I don't know. I think I wonder what the line is for Justin Herbert's rushing yard total this year. I haven't really looked at it, but I do think he could run more. Yeah. I think there's gonna be probably times where he's gonna have to tuck and run because the offensive line breaks down sometimes. So, I mean, Joe Alt. The good news is Joe Alt did play 13. He had 13 starts in college at left tackle, but we'll have to see that translate it to the NFL level. He hasn't played snap at left tackle, obviously with Slater there. So, a lot of moving parts on the offensive line. I mean, they definitely can't suffer another injury on the offensive line. And I think because they had those two tackles, I don't think the depth of the tackle position was that good because they're like, we have two cornerstone tackles. We don't really have to worry about, having a lot of depth there. So, and ironically, the injury Slater suffered is the same injury that Josh Simmons had in college, which, scared teams off of drafting him early in the first round. So who knows how Slater comes back from this injury as well. I think that's also another question mark. Because the ACLs they've become a less excruciating, it's still a really bad injury, but medicine has advanced so much that ACLs are kind of rudimentary thing. Still a bad injury, but rudimentary compared to others. Like a patellar tendon for offensive lineman is a really bad injury. That's why teams are scared out of Josh Simmons into the draft. And that may be the wrong mindset, but that's what happened.
I mean, Pipkins has played. He started how many? Like near 40 games at tackle in his career. Last year he was right guard, started all 15. So that is good that they have someone who's experienced in the O-line who can move over, and it was the year before tackle. So that does help them that he can do that.
Yeah. Let's move. This news was before the Chargers Slater news, but we'll touch on this as well. Jordan Addison suspended 3 games for his DUI. I think it was last offseason that he had DUI. He was asleep in his car under the influence. Gets 3 games. I think they're playing the Bears, Atlanta, and what was the third team that they're playing in the 3-game stretch? I want to say Chicago, Atlanta.
Right now. Cincy.
I should have had that. Cincinnati. Okay, so 3, I think, for middle opponents, we'll have to see how the Bears are. But what is your main takeaway from this? What does it mean for the Vikings, in that 3-game stretch? And what does it mean for J.J. McCarthy? I think that's like the biggest, potential storyline in all this is how it affects J.J. McCarthy.
I mean, I think he still has Justin Jefferson, T.J. Hawkinson, good running backs, good O-line. I don't think it kills him. I just don't. I don't think it's a terrible thing. I think that what is interesting about it, honestly, is Addison, when he gets to contract negotiations, it's like, hey, you were suspended. You're also our 2. So I wonder if that's more like let's try to get him on a bargain or let's just try to ship him out. But I don't think it affects too much because in the end, I mean, if I had to guess, they're winning 2 of those games. Probably those are all quality teams. Probably lose 1 in there. Even if you go 1 and 2, I think you're okay. Teams have slow starts sometimes. You have bye week 6, and you can bounce back Pittsburgh, Cleveland. So I don't think it's the biggest deal. Addison had how many catches today when he was playing? They're still playing. He had 3 catches, 33 yards, and 4 targets. So, he's going to be – I just don't think it's too huge.
I don't think it's huge either. I do think for a first-year quarterback, it's like I said, it's not a huge deal, but I do think it's detrimental. You want to have your number 2 receiver there. And a receiver that he's actually connected a lot with in training camp due to Justin Jefferson being out with a hamstring injury, which that's also soft tissue injuries are always – injuries that kind of scare me, especially when they're suffered, training camp, heading to the season. They are injuries that can linger. They are injuries that can be re-aggravated easily. So I think if Addison's out, like Addison, 2023 is his year. He had 911 yards, 10 touchdowns in 17 games. And then last year in 15 games, he had 875 yards and 9 touchdowns. That's a lot of production that you're not going to be having for the first 3 games. Now, I know you have Hawkinson, really good offensive line, obviously, good running game, good play caller. I do think it could cost them a game or 2 in this stretch. And I'm not saying that, it's going to derail their season by any means or because they go 1-2, that's going to scare me off of them. But I do think with a first-year quarterback who we really have no idea about, like the Vikings, the one question mark or one, doubt that people have, it's only their quarterback situation. And it's not to say J.J. McCarthy isn't good. We just don't know what he is. He could be really good. He could be bad. He could be, average. And so there's been ups and downs in training camp for J.J. McCarthy. He was all right today in the one drive he played. Most of the throws he missed were a little high. That's kind of typical for a young quarterback. That's what they usually have. They struggle on. They're throwing with a lot of pace, and sometimes the ball airmails on them. But I do think not having Jordan Addison in those 3 games, it's not a big deal, but it is something, I think.
But then if they go 3-0, by what you're saying here, if they go 3-0, then it's like, oh my gosh, they're going to win a Super Bowl. Now they get Addison back. I don't know. It's wide receiver 2 in 3 games. I feel like it's not massive news. I feel like it's just like, yeah, if it's Justin Jefferson, that's different. Also, Justin Jefferson, it's not like it's a 1A, 1B. It's Justin Jefferson's the best wide receiver in football. So I still don't think it's that big of news. But yeah, but that's why I don't take a ton into it. They also have Jalen Naylor, who he had some moments last year. Obviously, he doesn't get to do a ton when you have all those weapons. But, I mean, he had some moments last year. How many yards he have? He had 414, not a ton, but 6 touchdowns in his 3rd year. So this could be Jalen Naylor's moment. They also have Ty Felton.
I think it opens up more opportunities for TJ Hawkinson. I think that's the main factor from.
Yeah, Hawkinson was hurt last year, and here's the other thing: I think they expected this the whole time, so I don't think this is surprising or shocking. Yeah. So I don't think it's too big of a deal.
And I don't. We're Chiefs fans, obviously, and I don't want to be like biased and link this to anything. But Rashee Rice is also facing suspension, and I think the fact that Jordan Addison got 3, I now think Rashee Rice could be suspended in the range of 5 to 6 games.
I remember seeing where the Chiefs. Yeah, that's weird.
No, but like Rashee Rice's situation is much worse than Jordan Addison.
Yeah,
like he put a lot of people at risk for injury, including himself, and speeding, fleeing away from the scene. I think it's potentially 5 to 6 games for Rice.
Yeah, it could be. That would suck. That would suck for us. I mean, yeah, without Rice, I still think Worthy's pretty good. I'm liking Worthy this year. I think I was proven wrong in that pick. So I'm not. I wouldn't have too much fear with that. But Rice is way more detrimental than Addison because Rice is still better than Worthy. So
and Rice, I think Rice is a clear cut 1. Yeah. No, Rice. I think at this point, I think it's gonna be 5 to 6 games.
The other stuff that happened to Rice, I think, definitely could add to suspension with the other off the field stuff.
Yeah. Final two bits of news we'll talk about, both quarterback related. We'll start with the Colts quarterback situation, and then we'll talk about the rookies making their debuts. Colts open up their preseason on Thursday against the Ravens. Anthony Richardson only played a couple of series, completed 2 or 3 passes for 15 yards, and then suffered an injury, which was his fault for not picking up not seeing the blitz, not recognizing that he had a hot route in the flat, not recognizing that he was not going to have any blockers there. It's an interesting situation because, you want to see Anthony Richardson play as many snaps as possible to get a fair shake on this. And then Daniel Jones comes in, and I don't think Daniel Jones really took advantage of the opportunity at all. He's 10-21.
They had a few drops. So he really probably should have been 13 or 14 or 21, which isn't bad. It's preseason.
Okay. I know it's preseason, but if Richardson had that type of stat line, I think people,
because Richardson has had that stat line 10 times.
I know, but it's also not good. It's not a good look when you're a 6-year veteran and you're doing that against backups. I'm not saying Daniel Jones isn't winning the job or anything like that, but I do think Thursday was a missed opportunity for both quarterbacks. And I do think at this point, I think if the margins are really close in this competition, I think they're going to give Richardson the job as long as he's healthy. Because if it's that close, they want Richardson to work out. So I think Daniel Jones is going to have to separate himself. And that's not to say that, but go ahead.
The play that he got injured on, I know it was Chase Daniel who really went in on this is his fault. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to know if that's truly his fault, if he was supposed to pick that up. Probably protection loss.
Everybody said it's his fault.
Yeah. So, but I think that's the type of stuff. I think that play kind of defines Anthony Richardson is. He just doesn't know what he's really doing out there. So you can make all the nice throws he wants and stuff. But in the end, he does stuff like that where he doesn't pick up. He doesn't know. That's where there's so much to playing quarterback again that I think we don't even know about, that we act like we know about, but we don't. And so it's like that. I think that's right there. It's like he did not pick that up. He got hurt again. He gets hurt all the time. He's losing more snaps. He's barely even played football or hasn't started many games at quarterback college on. I still think Daniel Jones has the leeway here because he's experienced. He's won a playoff game. He's probably not. He has a lot of his faults, but it's stuff where he's still playing competent quarterback play. And Anthony Richardson's stuff is maybe we could think of it as small details, but it's really the details are what matter.
Yeah, like right now, I don't even know who I would probably give. The injury is obviously another check mark in the anti-Anthony Richardson, department, because Richardson, the two things that scare people in terms of his development, if he's going to work out, is accuracy and the ability to stay on the field. And the fact that he got hurt again, definitely not a good look. I just think for me, we've heard Chris Ballard this offseason say they want Richardson to work. They're going to be patient with him. I don't agree with this. Like he said that it may take him. We'll not see what he looks like until next year. We may not, fully know. And I think the GM and the coach may not be able to. They may not even be there to see that if it plays out like that. Which if it does play like that, Richardson.
If there's a new coach and GM, Richardson's gone.
No,
Richardson's gone.
And
he's
so
gone. No one's.
I don't think
keeping him.
I just said that. But my point is, I think I'm going to give Richardson as many. So I think as long as he's healthy and Daniel Jones doesn't separate himself that much, I think they're going to give him the job because we kind of know what Daniel Jones is at this point. And Richardson, although very risky proposition, it is a lottery ticket and we don't know what he is. So I do think from a Colts perspective, they will give Richardson the job if things stay the same of performance. It's kind of neck and neck. That I think they're going to give Richardson, and that's not just because that's not biased. That's just how I see it in the situation. But Dan Jones, I think, definitely still has a legitimate shot winning this job.
No, yeah, I'm taking Dan Jones. Anthony Richardson, if he starts, he'll have to prove that he knows what he's doing.
Oh, of course. Yeah, and I think both quarterbacks, if they're named the week 1 starter, there's no guarantee that they last the entire season anyways. And Richardson may be forcing this game just because of injury, regardless. So I don't know. The Colts. I think if they get steady quarterback plays here, I think they could win that division. But we just don't. There's so many question marks with both quarterbacks in this scenario. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you have Daniel Jones. I have Anderson. The plan was for Richardson to start the first game, which he did, and then Daniel Jones start the second game. But I do think with the injury, and Shane Steichen did say that they may alter the plans in the second game because Daniel Jones actually got the extended snaps. We saw Richardson for the series. I think Richardson could start again the second game, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's in the lead or anything like that. But I do think that's what's going to happen in the second game. I think they're at home against the Packers next Saturday, so I'm guessing that game will also be televised. There's a lot of storylines in that game as well. Finally, we'll shift to rookie quarterbacks. Shedeur Sanders and Jaxson Dart. Shedeur Sanders made his debut last night. Played really well, or not really well, but I think he was very solid last night. 2 touchdowns. I believe he was 14 of 21 for about 163 yards or so. And then Jaxson Dart, I think he showed some just today. Beginning, it was you could tell he didn't really trust the offensive line. He got the ball out quick, played it safe. But once he kind of found his rhythm, he hit that touchdown down the left sideline. Really good throw under pressure. Let's Sanders. I think he obviously proved that he should have not been as late a draft pick as he was. And I do think he ends up winning the backup job for Cleveland.
But I still think 5th round's fine because he had all the things. So he's more talented than a 5th round pick, but I still think that 5th round pick was fine. I think he got humbled by it, so I think it helped him. I think if he would have been drafted day 2, I think maybe he's not looking nearly as good. And he's not looking insane, but he's been pretty solid, and I thought he was a solid player. He's still like try to scramble a little, but there's some things where you could see when you're watching. Just watch some of the highlights today, where it just looks like he has a natural feel of it, as opposed to someone like Anthony Richardson. Like there's that. It was on the one of the touchdowns I think could have been swatted or picked, but it was on the other one where he started to scramble a little, but then stopped, hit it, and he anticipated the safety, so he threw it a little inside. I really like that play. I'm like, okay, that's Shedeur. I think he's gonna be a starter in this league. I don't think he's gonna be any type of insane player or anything like that. Like maybe at best fringe top 10 type. But I liked what I saw from him.
If you think fringe top 10, if you think fringe top 10,
that's max. That's max. But I think fringe top 10 is a lot easier. Fringe top 10 is a lot easier to get to than just because can he be as good as Kyler Murray? His best, as good as Kyler Murray? Sure, yeah, Kyler Murray's fringe top 10. So I don't think fringe top 10 is this, because then you're saying 12, 13, that's Dak right now. Now, I don't think he gets to that level. I don't think he's going to be better than Dak, but that's his best. And then Jaxson Dart, he made some nice throws. He did make some nice throws. It started off as ooh, not looking good, but then he made some nice throws, made a couple nice runs. So, no, good debuts for both of them. It's just rather have good ones than bad ones. It's in the preseason, but each should come away happy with how they played. And the fan base should be okay, there we go. We got something.
So I think Shedeur ends up winning the backup job. That's just my, that's probably my, brief prediction right now. Is Jaxson Dart the backup quarterback for the Giants week 1? Where do you they have Jameis there? Does he surpass Jameis? Because I think right now he's a QB3 on the unofficial depth chart. But would he surpass Jameis?
Unofficial depth chart.
I think he's. And if he does surpass Jameis, do they try to move Jameis? Do they try to trade Jameis for some type of?
Did I say
mid-round?
I told you this. I want Jameis on the Rams just in case something happens to Stafford. I'd love to see Sean McVay and Jameis with Puka and Devontae. I think that'd be fun. So that's just what I think would be most fun. I don't know how good the fit would be, but I think it'd be fun. So that's kind of my hope that happens there. Jaxson Dart's backup job. They trade Winston for a 6th or 7th to the Rams. And then Winston, we can wait and see if Stafford can't play or gets hurt or they want to rest him. I'd love to see Winston chuck the ball to Puka 20 times a game.
So I'm looking at Brown's schedule right now. I kind of want to talk about where both these quarterbacks can make their first career starts based on schedule and how the team is doing. For me, and I don't know if you have the Cleveland Browns schedule pulled up, so I'll run.
And I pulled it up. I pulled it up.
Okay. For me, I think Sanders' first start will be on October 19th versus Miami. I think not a great defense. You're at home. You don't want to put him in at Pittsburgh the week before. Minnesota's defense should be really good this year. And then like weeks 1 through 4, I think Flacco's penciled in. I think ink and pen starter, obviously, for week 1 at least. So you have Bengals at Baltimore versus Green Bay, at Detroit versus Vikings, at Pittsburgh. The Dolphins are a good place to start. They have New England the next week, and then you get that bye week. So you have a 2-week, stint right there, and then you use the bye week to regroup and kind of process everything that's going on. So I think Miami is the first game that Shedeur starts.
They have a lot of hypothetical, really good defenses on their schedule. Yeah, Miami's not bad, but then you do have to play at New England, who has a really good defense. You get the bye.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't want his first game at New England.
I'm saying the Miami thing, but then you do play New England. You get a bye. You play the Jets, pretty good defense. Baltimore, pretty good defense. But then there's some manageable defenses after. So yeah, I don't dislike that at all. If they I wonder 2, 4, 6. If they're 2-4, I wonder if they make the move and Flacco's keeping them in games. Because 2-4, you could say if they're 2-4, I could still be like, oh, they didn't play terrible. They just tough team. Who knows?
Side, I have that schedule pulled up. You can pull up that schedule as well if you want to. First 4 games are at Washington, at Dallas, versus Chiefs, versus Chargers. The Saints is a really tempting spot for me, but I do think the next 3 weeks, I don't know if I really want Dart playing those games. So he has Saints week 5, then you have Eagles, Denver Eagles. That to me, I just don't know if I want Dart in those games. And I do think there's a chance, Giants. I know week 1, you kind of like the Giants as an upset pick in week 1, but I do think there's definitely a chance that they start out the year 0-4, maybe beat the Saints, and you lose another stretch of games. So this one's tougher for me to pick, to be honest with you. I think Saints, if you look at, Saints really bad team. But then if you look at the 3 games after that, it's like, I don't really know if I want Dart in those games.
I'm not really looking at it for the Giants because first off, Giants I think are better. They have the Giants pass rush. I don't know. I don't think they're going to be great, but they can. You could if they're 2-0, I wouldn't be shocked. And then if you tell they're placing the Chargers, what if Pipkins is bad? And then it's like, oh my, they're just killing Herbert. And then all of a sudden they're 3-1. And then it could be obviously that's some high end results, but that's why for them.
Can you bet on FanDuel? Can you bet record after first 4 games? Is that a thing at all?
I don't know. I feel like I saw that on DraftKings once, but
DraftKings, okay.
I feel like I did, but I'd have to double check. But that's why with the Giants, I'm not looking at. I would not start them against New Orleans because then you have to face second best defense, best defense, second best defense. I'd much rather, if you're not playing well, start them against San Francisco, and you face the NFC North teams who have some good defenses, but nothing insane. New England, pretty good defense. Yeah, I'd rather do the San Francisco than messing with Denver Eagles and Eagles again.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just looking at there's practices going on right now, so I was just looking at some beat reports from practices. I'll tell you what, and I know this is kind of off topic, but Adonai Mitchell, who's on our dynasty team,
it's kind of off topic.
It's very off topic, but having a very nice day of practice today. Do we want to talk about Stafford at all? Potential fallout of that? I think you brought that up, and that was something that I kind of missed in the run through. I do think the Matthew Stafford thing is the NFC West, I think, could get blown wide open, with Stafford. Because if Garoppolo is starting games for the Rams, I don't think they have a chance to win this division. And that's just me because I don't think Garoppolo.
Well, yeah,
I know he's a Sean McVay system. But if Garoppolo starts, the majority of games this year, the 49ers are I mean, there's injuries left and right for 49ers, which seems like a annual storyline for them in training
they
camp
keep
and
getting
for the
hurt.
season each and every year. But unlike other years, they do not have the depth that they had in previous years. So the injuries are going to be tougher to deal with. What is your assessment on Matthew Stafford right now and the Rams? Like, how on a scale of like 1 to 10, how worried are you for that situation?
I mean, it's a 4. He's always hurt, and he usually plays through it. If I had to predict, he's going to miss like week 7 through 10 with this injury, and he'll come back and he'll be pretty good. So to me, it's until I see him play. I know it's a story, but from what we have right now, I think they expect him to play week 1. I bet he plays. I bet it's just the usual Matthew Stafford stuff. I don't think this is anything out of the ordinary.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely a little bit more worried than you because epidural. I mean, he's in obvious pain, and that will probably subside the pain for a little bit, and maybe for those shots, usually they can subside the pain for months, weeks, potentially full year, but the pain will eventually come back. So yeah.
I
mean, we'll talk. We'll talk about division. When do you want to do our division predictions? Is next week probably too early?
I feel like next week's too early.
Yeah,
next week's
too early. Because I think if teams usually play their starters at least 2 games, and I think a third game just I don't think you'll see a lot of stars playing. So I do think after next week, I think we could make our predictions. But yeah, I think the NFC West could be blown wide open if something were to happen to Stafford.
I think that'd be. It'd make it interesting. There's a chance the NFC West is really condensed like it was last year.
Yeah, and like last year, the Rams only won 10 games, and I know Puka and Cooper Kupp were both hurt, which kind of
and the defense was like very.
They were 1-4 last year. Puka, I want to say Cooper Kupp suffered an ankle injury week 2 against Arizona, and they got blown out that game. And then Puka, I think, got hurt week 1. Against Detroit, and that's why we saw the Cooper Kupp explosion, which was unfortunate for me because I was facing you week 1 last year in fantasy, and you had Cooper Kupp.
I remember that.
Of course, that was one of his only good performances of the year. Was that so? Yeah, NFL. I think it's officially back, or not officially back, but I do think we're in football season now with preseason underway. Chiefs play tonight. Is there anything catching your eye at all? Beat reports right now. Game actually going. I don't know how many games are actually on right now. I think
it's just. Yeah, I think it's just Minnesota. Nothing much. I feel like. I think I'm just ready for week 1. I'm just ready.
And I'm ready to do our division prediction. That's like probably my favorite episode that we do. Is we get to both lay out our thoughts for the year. A little bit of bragging rights when one of us is right, the other is wrong. The first year we did division predictions, I believe I did really well. I think I predicted like 78 divisions, but like last year I think I struggled a bit. So it'll be interesting where this one. I forgot how you did last year. I'll flip back the tape.
I mean, my pick that I like was Minnesota being good, and so I don't remember.
Did you have the playoff team? Or
yeah.
Did you have like overachieving?
Did I have them as a playoff? I think I had them as a 7 seed. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
I have mine written down somewhere. I have Chicago as a 7 seed. I did almost have.
Did the Chicago hype was such a mainstream?
Yeah.
That was such
I originally had the 49ers. I originally had the 49ers missing the playoffs in my predictions, but then I had them as a 5 seed, which was, their season was real.
Their whole team got hurt. It was terrible.
Yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to. I'm definitely looking forward to making our predictions. I think.
Oh, and Cincinnati missing the playoffs. That was also another really good one. That's another one that just made sense. Cincinnati missing.
Yeah, so we'll probably do not next week, but the following week. I think will be a good time. We leave for vacation the 22nd through 29th, or 23rd through 29th, something like that. So, and we have some fancy drafts to do as well. So I think the following week before we leave will probably be a good time, and I think we'll have more clarity with injuries and all that. So until next week, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Listen to it. Our podcast also on Spotify. We also post on there. But as always, leave a like button and subscribe to the channel when you have the chance.
Peace.